Yeah. So the person wants to build an app for CUDA, one of the assignments I saw, which is brilliant. The person wants to build something for teenagers. So they want to be able to create an account for teenagers. So you can link the way Netflix has probably a profile for kids. You can be able to create um, an account for your teenager child or something. Then you link that account to a card, and you can give the card to the teenager, tell them, okay, you have this social budget per week, and that child is able to learn how to spend money from the card. And also, you can be able to monitor what the child is using the card to buy per time and all that. I mean, it's a brilliant idea for parents who really want their children to be financially educated, so to say. I also saw um, someone who wants to build an app for a grocery store. I mean, both home and app. Okay, so I saw one which was just a grocery store. So more like a personal shoppers kind of thing. They have an app. The You and I go to the app to look for somebody that can go to the market to help us buy pepper, vegetables, and all stuff like that. And persons that would buy it would you order the person online, just like books, and the person goes buy it and deliver to us, and we make all payments on that platform. I'm seeing a lot of problem with that idea, but yes, it's a brilliant idea. That means the person is as lazy as I am. I don't like going to the market. I also saw another idea about selling Nigerian made stuff, things that were planted here, probably fruits or the likes. Um, People outside the country who probably don't have access to that will be able to order it from here and you deliver to them. But I'm not sure how the person intends to handle the whole import and export policies. Either way, I saw a lot of brilliant ideas, fintech to so yeah, I saw everything. Um, but the idea is I sent a copy of mine intentionally so that you guys could look through the general idea. In the copy I sent, you'd see for my own system, I did the high level user flow for the three users that I have. The foodie, customer, and the admin that will be uploading, that will be handling the listing of food items. So basically, um, I'm expecting that you do the same thing because when you do that, it keeps you in these platforms or in these scenarios where you are able to visualize your product before you actually build it or before you design it. You're able to visualize it in your head so that when you have a designer working on it, it could be easy for you to tell the designer, no, 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 no. There's a button that is supposed to be there. There's a there's an image that is supposed to be there. That you've been able to create that in your head before you're able to speak with the developer or the designer. Those micro interactions already happen there in your head. And when you're writing, preferably in the next class, you'll be learning about PRD. So you should, when you're writing your PRDs and you're breaking your stuff down into user stories or writing core requirements, you'll be able to include in your acceptance criteria those micro interactions that are in your head. All right, because of time or without wasting too much time, let's just jump into the class. Um, your comment section is right there in front of me. So if you have anything you feel like you want to bring to my notice, please drop it in the comment section. I'm literally saying your comment here, and I'm also saying I'll respond to you. All right. So let's start. Yesterday we were supposed to work on the frameworks for product strategy. I believe like a lot of us actually understand what product strategy is. Please, if at any point you're not hearing me, please drop a comment in the comment section so that I'll be able to probably move back or whichever way we need to go with it. So I explained yesterday that product strategy um entails or distorts the process, your idea, your process as a company. Um how do you get things done? Basically, it explains how you're able to accomplish the vision that the company has. So if the vision is of the company is to sell to as many people as possible, or to sorry, that's big. But let's assume the vision of the company is to be able to um, connect as many Okada riders to um, to their customers. That's the vision. At the end of the day, you need a strategy. How would we be able to achieve this? One of the there's a lot of frameworks that could help us in this process. Like I said yesterday, we'll not be going deeply into these frameworks, but we'll be explaining them briefly so that you know the differences between them. And I'm hoping that you'd go better to go and learn individually in your own personal space. So the first one that I mentioned yesterday is the waterfall model or methodology. The waterfall is mostly a straightforward approach. It is linear, which means there's no going back. There's no secular. There are stages in this framework from the ideation. There are about 7 stages, if I'm correct. But each of the stages, once you are there, if you are writing the requirements, you have to finish that requirement before you move to the next stage. There's no, hey, I forgot something. So you have to finish that entire phase. If you're in the development phase, you can't go back to the design phase and say, oh, sorry. Now that we are developing, we realize that we left out something in design. No, it's not possible with the waterfall methodology. It's a linear approach. So once you start, every stage must be completed before you move to another stage. Even if there will be changes, it has to be as slight as possible. And oftentimes, the changes are made when you are still in a particular phase. You oftentimes can't go back to the previous phase to make changes because it will affect what you have planned for this phase. So that's the waterfall model. And that's why a lot of people don't use it anymore, like before. Because unlike before, where software companies feel like they know what the customer needs, so they just build solutions. We're in a dispensation where it is essential for you to actually know the customer needs and actually use that as a feedback to better your system. So that is waterfall model in summary. I said something about product market fit framework. It means that you are looking for a particular part of your product, or you are building your product to meet a particular demand in the market. So, for example, what do I think that is still manual right now in Nigeria? Looking for something in the fintech space that is still manual. That's still very, very much manual. Okay, yeah. Let's assume at the moment, at least I'm sure, at the moment, if you want to open a USD account, if you want to open a Naira account, it's easy. Just log into your probably sign up. It's very easy and straightforward. But with dollar accounts, it's extremely complicated. So let's assume that is a need in the society. People want to have a dollar account so that they can hold, sorry, so that they can hold dollar while they grow their finances. That could be a problem that the market has. Now, if you build a solution to solve that particular problem, then your product has actually meet what we call product market fit. Your product has actually meet that demand in the market. So the idea of the product market fit framework is instead of you just building products for building sake, you build products to solve a particular problem per time. So when you are able to meet the product market fit, you launch that out. Then in the next few years, you start researching and finding what other problem is existing in that particular niche. Then you also solve that and solve that and solve that and solve that. For example, a good example is Facebook. Facebook, I don't think they actually thought a lot about it, but or let me use Netflix. Netflix saw an opportunity to actually go into the market because as at then people were renting movies. I mean, why not rent it online and return it online? That was the idea. You wanted to watch a movie instead of going to rent it in a physical library or in a physical bookstore, watch it and bring it back. Why not just rent it online, watch the movie, pay for it, and disappear? That was the idea. Then over time, the idea grew. We started making the system better. If you see the first Netflix design, it was terrible. But here are they today. So the idea is find a problem. Product market fit is find a problem that is worth solving, solve it in the market, and yet that is how the framework works. All right, we also have the lean methodology. The lean methodology is one of the most popular ones. I know most of us have been hearing about MVP. What is MVP? MVP is minimum viable product, which also means, in summary, that the least feature that your app can have to actually meet the customer's need. I gave an example yesterday, even though it was skipping, that any bank app in Nigeria that wants to succeed must have some certain features. Number one, sending transfer, interbank transfer. That means you should be able to send money from Access to GT, from GT to whatever it is. You should be able to send money from that particular bank app to another bank app. That is one of the main features of any mobile platform, any mobile banking platform. If I'm unable to send money, then there's a problem. I don't know if that makes any sense. So what that means is if I am to build a app, that particular send feature must be in my MVP. Why? Because MVP is the minimum viable product. MVP is the minimum number of features that you can add for an app or a system or a product to be usable. Do you understand? So the lean methodology, the lean startup methodology uses that idea that let us build the minimum for it to be useful. Then when we build the minimum, we push it to the customer, they start using it, then we start building features upon features, then we start releasing that in iteration. I don't know if that makes any sense. Please thumbs up or comment if you are still following. So I know I'm not talking to myself. Sorry. Am I talking to myself? All right. Thank you, Manfred, Adebimpe, Abidemi. Thank you very much. All right, let's move to the next one, the agile. The king in the jungle, the most popular among all the frameworks. However, I often tell people that agile is actually not a methodology, it's a mindset. Okay. I often tell people that agile is not a methodology, rather is a mindset. And the mindset of agile is basically your ability to be able to adjust or adapt to change effectively. Is someone saying something? If that's not to me, please mute yourself so that we don't disturb others. So basically, agile is a mindset that you have as an organization, both individuals or as a group, as a company. Is a mindset that you have that allows you to adapt to change easily. So agile has a few, we call it agile manifesto. I hope you guys could probably read it after. It's like rules. I worked with a company that they we use Agile. So what they did is they actually pasted the Agile manifesto in the office so that when you come to the office, you can see all the rules. It's more or less like a rule that you have to follow. It's not that rigid. It's not that rigid, but if you follow it, it will help the company adjust easily to change. So basically, that's what Agile is. Unlike every other one, Agile focuses on its main focus is to keep delivering value even in the face of uncertainties. You are not sure what the customer would need next, but you are sure of what they need today. So you focus on that, build it today, and when they need something else tomorrow, you are able to your app is scalable enough to adjust to that new change. That's Agile. Now, like I said, most of this methodology is just dealing with a process, like a mindset that you use in building your solution. Also, we have Scrum. Scrum is actually a subset of Agile. It's more or less like how do I explain it? It's like a concept that allows Agile to actually move effectively. Like I said, Agile is a mindset. Now, Scrum is one of the process in Agile. If you've heard Scrum, what Scrum means is that if your company is running a Scrum, it means that your company will have timeline. For example, mine, we have 2 weeks of development. After that 2 weeks of development, we have a whole week. And during that whole week, we have team retrospective where we think back about what happened in the last 2 weeks. Were we able to meet the goal or targets? If we're able to meet the goal or target, what could we have done better? Did we meet it too early? Could we have added more tasks? Is there any blocker? How could we ensure that this blocker is not happening again? Is there an engineer that is giving us headache? How do we punish the person? Sorry, that's just on a lighter note. You don't have to punish engineers. Engineers don't have to hate product managers. Most of my engineers, we are best of friends. But the idea is, in some companies, that's one of the major reasons why they do retrospective. So that they can be able to say this person did not meet their tasks and call them out in front of the entire company. Why exactly did you finish your tasks? And that's why if you check online, memes online, you realize that engineers don't like product managers. Why? Because that retrospective is where we actually wear our bad guy hats and we look thoroughly into the system, see what can be made better and all that. Then during that 1 week of break as well, you are able to break down your big tasks. For example, you say you want to integrate Google Gmail into your onboarding process. So you're asking yourself, what are the things you need to do? Break down the task one after the other so that you can assign the tasks to different persons in the organization and you can manage the time effectively. During this time, you work with the engineering team to break down the tasks. For some companies, the engineering team will be the one to break down their tasks. They will assign people to it. And when they are done, they let you know, boss, this is the task for the next sprint. Then when you have the task for the next sprint, you are like you do a sprint meeting where you gain clarity on what exactly is doable and what is not doable. Sometimes what you think can be done in 2 weeks, based on the engineering research, they might say, no, it cannot be done in 2 weeks. It can be done in 3 weeks. Now, again, this is not set in stone. Some companies have different approach to how they run Scrum. Some companies have dedicated engineers that all they do is research. They basically do research. One of the work of solution architects, I just started hearing about that particular role. Solution architect, what they do is they ensure that what you are building conforms with the global standard. So basically, their work is when you have written your code or when you want to write your code, the process you want to use, they check it, scrutinize it and say, no, why are you using camel case in this your code? Why are you using this case in this your code? Why are you using details instead of other things? So basically, they question your the reason why you are using so thing as an engineer. So if you have somebody like that in the company, you probably don't need That's long 1 week. Some companies 3 days, some companies 2 days before they run another 2 weeks of sprint. So that's basically what Scrum is. You have sprint, you have the sprint retrospective. Sprint is the weeks of development. Then you have all that in view. Then when the developers are developing their projects, in those 2 weeks, as a product manager, they are working on the roadmap, working on the backlogs. The roadmap is what you have to do for maybe a year. For some companies, they have 6 month roadmap. For some companies, we have 3 months roadmap. So if your company has 6 months or 3 months, don't worry, we'll discuss roadmap. 7 month roadmap. The point is you work on it to ensure that you are still in line with what you plan to do per quarter. Then you also work on your backlog. Your backlog is the place where you put things that people are just saying you want to do. Okay, put it there. You are not sure when you will do it, so you just put it in the backlog. It's like a basket where you put all the amazing features that everybody is asking for. Like your customers say, oh, I want something to be dancing, and you listen to that. Oh, something you can do in the future. So you throw it in the backlog. So when you are ready to do it, you move it from a backlog and put it in the roadmap. Now, in these 2 weeks of development, when your engineers are writing codes and doing all those things, you are looking at the roadmap. What is the next thing for us to do? You look at your backlog. If anything is similar to what you're about to do, that means to be able to buy time. If not, you leave your backlog to be backlogs. If it is, you look at your roadmap. What do I have for this quarter? For example, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So if you are in Q2, you check what do I have for this quarter? What should we be doing in the next 2 weeks? Okay, this is what we should be doing in the next 2 weeks. Then you start writing requirements for those things. So as the engineers are working 24/7, developing what the requirements you're already giving to them, you are actively working on the requirements they will be working on in the next. For some of us, we work like 4 weeks or 6 weeks ahead. So the stuff they work on in the next 2 sprints, they already know it. The old documentation is already ready. So in case they finish early and the engineering manager feels like, yeah, let's bring in more stuff for the guys. The guys are ready to take more challenges. I mean, we can always bring stuff from that particular bucket. So basically, that's what Scrum means. Then we have Kanban. Kanban is the most popular one that you guys have seen, but maybe most people don't know what it means. You probably have seen a board before where you see to do, doing, and done. Where you move cards from to do, you move it to doing, from doing, you move it to done. That particular board is called a Kanban board. So the Kanban framework is also used in Agile, but it is used to be able to manage tasks so that everybody in the organization is looking at the board and knowing that, okay, this is where we are. This is the number of tasks that is in progress. This is the number of tasks that is done. And this is the number of tasks that have not started at all. Who is assigned to that task? Why have they not started? Everybody in the company is able to question and understand why things are not moving or what is moving when it is moving. So that's basically what Kanban is. All right. I was explaining Shape Up yesterday, which can also be called Spiral. But product management philosophers or gurus believe that both of them are not the same. Spiral is different, Shape Up is different. But for me, I believe that both methodology are the same. Shape Up is just like Scrum as well. Hey God, please check your mic is on mute. Please mute it. So Shape Up is just like Scrum, but unlike Scrum that you can do development of, your sprint is usually around 2 weeks. For Shape Up doesn't have sprints. They call it cycle. It's a 6-week cycle. Your engineering team will work for 6 weeks straight. Like they will be working 6 good weeks. And if your company is such that builds projects, like they build projects, after this project, they close the chapter and build another project, then Shape Up could be your best bet. So they focus on work, no disturbance, the only thing you are doing for them is checking up how far you're supposed to be done with this. The deadline says you are supposed to finish today. Is there any blocker you're having? Do you need us to clarify anything? Why has it not been done? And all of that. So just that follow-up part that you'll be doing as the product manager. But there's also an extra 2 weeks after that 6 weeks where you now sit down, you test what has been built for the 6 weeks. There's testing, there's something like retrospective as well, where you measure the KPIs of each engineer. You measure a lot of things happening in that next 2 weeks. Then after that 2 weeks, you go into another 6 long weeks of coding. They start coding, but again, while they are doing their 6 weeks as the product manager, you are working on probably the next 6, 8, 15, 25 weeks to come. So basically, the time when we are not working is the time we're explaining to them that, hey, this is what you have to do, or you're following up with them. But as a product manager, your work, there's a consistent need of research. If your customers are accessible to you, you'll probably have to talk to your customer a lot. For some of us that our app is being used in the street, we probably want to go into the street. And I met a product manager in Port Harcourt like few weeks back when I was around the area. She was, I think it is all these apps that you can order food in it. I mean, she was going around and telling people about our products. I was like, okay, are you one of their marketers? Sorry, I love to ask questions like that. And she was like, no, she's actually the product manager. She was hoping she would meet people that have used the app and probably get feedback from them. I was like, wow, really? So yeah, she's coming from church and she felt like, okay, why not? This is our baby. Why not just ask a few questions from people in church that might have used the app in the past? I was excited in a way. I was excited, and at the same time, I was like, wow, that's just beautiful. So for some of us who our apps are used within app, we want to get that feedback. And based on that feedback, you're able to trim down your backlogs, and you're able to also plan ahead or also adjust your roadmaps. So basically, that's how Shape Up methodology works. You can also read more on this. Now, briefly, I would like to talk about product process, or what the product journey looks like. The first interview I ever attended, the question the person asked me was simple. He said, what is your process like? As a product manager, what is the process? And I was confused. What do you mean by process? I follow up with the engineers, I write requirements. I'm good at writing PRD. I can break down the biggest of epics into as many user stories as possible. My acceptance criteria game is on fleek. Like, I know how to break edge cases, as many edge cases as possible. I can envisage the problems, and I was explaining all these beautiful things. And the guy said again, what is your process? And I was dumbfounded. So basically, the process is basically you talking about what happens in each stage of development, each stage, to the point where your product is actually in the happy part. By happy part, I mean your customers are using it and they're happy, from the ideation phase to the happy time for customers. So I'll just be mentioning a few based on my experience. This might be different from some managers, but this is like a bit globally acceptable. I read a few online while I was making this, and some of my product managers friends, they also follow this approach. So the first part of the process is called discovery. Some call it ideation, some call it planning, but for me, I call it discovery plus planning. So this is the phase where you are realizing that this need exists. This is that phase that you realize that, wow, this particular, let me give you an example. So we have been doing something manually for a while, and a few days ago, I just saw online that, okay, we can actually automate this with the Google Sheets API. A lot of time we use some systems and we don't know that those guys have a developer environment. So I went to research and I realized that, wow, so I could do this, I could automate this. And that was a discovery stage for me. Now, That discovery stage deleted about 4 things in my backlogs. The ideas that I had initially about fixing that particular problem, they now looked very strange to me. They looked like, was I the one that thought about this idea? Nah. So I went to delete them. So this new idea was brilliant that it deleted 4 different things that I had already envisaged. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So this is the phase where you have discovered it, but this phase is also a very critical phase, because this phase you have to make sure that you speak with stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I mean your engineering team or engineering lead, depending on who is responsible for helping you with understanding some technical terms. You have to speak with your team lead if you are working in a company where there's a group of product managers. You have to speak with the business team about this idea, especially if it will cost the company money, however small it is. And finally, you have to speak with somebody from the operations, somebody that is closer to the customer, or probably your QA engineer, who probably is the company's customer or user, basically. Tell them, this is what I want to do. Do you think it's interesting? So once I figured that out yesterday, I was able to speak with all of them. And then, as excited as I was just speaking with them, asking them, and everybody started asking, okay, what's the limitation? I went to search, what's the limitation? So at this stage, you are having that conversation. Then you are researching heavily. What could go wrong? What will go right? All that and all that. That's what happens at this phase. And yes, you're able to align that, and you say, okay, if we do this, will it still be in line with the company's vision or goal or value? Yes, it will still be. Then you proceed to the next phase, which is sorry. So you proceed to the next phase, which is the sorry, I did a lot of writing, which is the design. Or if your company uses the lean methodology, is the point where you set up, you decide what will be in the MVP. What are the features that will go out first? Yeah, so this is the phase where you say, oh, now I know. I have like a proof of concept. I know that this works. I've spoken to the engineering team and they said it's possible. I've spoken with the business team and they said, yes, good to go. $20 is something we can afford. I've spoken with the user through probably our operations team and the QA, and they said it's perfect. We are good to go. So what next? You call the designer. Mr. Designer, come here. Mrs. Designer, come here. Miss Designer, come here. This is what I want to do. I need you to work on something for me that will make this happen. Then you do a sketch of what you have in your head, speak with the person about it. If you have a magician, like the designer in my company, I love to show him up. He's a very, very great guy. Just talk about the idea to him. He's going to make a magic happen. He's going to come with you. It's like you read your mind. So basically, if you are lucky like me and you have someone like Friedman in your life, then bam, you are good to go. So all you have to do is just tell him about the idea. This is what you want to do. This is the research you make. Notes. I told you at the ideation stage, you meet stakeholder, make sure that you document everything. Then you show him the document. Okay, so while I was reading this, I realized that we need this, and that. The customer will need this, and that. So how do we go about the design? And in most cases, it will advise you, why not do it this way? Why do it this way? That point, you're able to ideate, come up with a brilliant idea concerning the design. And also in this space, you are able to map out the exact need development-wise. Do you need endpoints? Do you need an API? Would your existing API work perfectly? Would you just plug what you have existing to that particular front-end UI and enjoy? Yeah, you're able to determine the work effort that is required to bring that to life. Then after that, the next phase, sorry, you can always read this I just try as much as possible to write a few things that needs to be considered in this phase. After that phase, then you go to building. You write in the previous phase where you are designing and all that, you are writing the requirements, you have created the tasks, broken down the epics into user story and acceptance criteria. So you have all that the engineering team needs to start working so that they don't come to you and say, hey, sorry, what is this? How do I do this? What do business need about this? Is business okay with this? All that has been covered in the previous stage. So by that time, just hand over the documentation to the engineers and they start building. So at this phase, they will build, they will test, they will push to staging, you test in staging, you do regression tests, you do stress tests, you do as many tests as possible to ensure that the stuff is finally good to go. Then you launch to production. Now, after launching, a lot of people feel like that is the end as product manager. My dear, sorry, that's not the end. Then if you work with a company that has a beta stage, that means they have a beta user. You send to those beta users first. They use it, give you their feedback. Then you use their feedback to make it better. If your company doesn't have a beta user, then you send it out to your customers, actively waiting for feedback. For me, I give it 2 weeks or 3 weeks. If within that 2 weeks or 3 weeks I don't get feedback, on like I will get feedback definitely, but if I don't get negative feedback, I know that the product is a success. If I get negative feedback, depending on how negative it is, okay, it's a success, but we need to do this and that and that. That's what happens in this support and growth phase. So all you have to do at this stage is just to keep on making the system better and better and better as time goes on. So we have 4 minutes. Yeah. So we have 4 minutes before I ask questions. So I'll just run through some of the deliverables. When I say deliverables, I mean things that you have to deliver, things you have to drop. As a product manager, what is expected of you in the planning phase? Your user research is expected. What's your research like? Is this actually user-friendly? Will it be better than the alternatives? Your market results. That means the result of the research you've done, how it affects your roadmap, what is the strategy, how do you plan on implementing this, and the PRD, which is PRD is short form for product requirement document. This is a document that details everything about that feature that you want to build. Yes. So for companies that don't expect you to have PRD for every products, that means you might have user stories or epics in case of the PRD. Also, we have in the build phase or in the design phase, design and build, you have the wireframes, the mock-up. Wireframes is basically your design documents. Then your code, your development and launch. These are the things that are expected of you in this particular phase. Then in the growth phase, you're expected to do usability tests. Are your user able to use it effectively? Analytics, what is the number of users that are happy to the number of users that are not happy, and et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things you have to consider when you're analyzing the particular feature. Server management, is this feature consuming more of our environment? Like, is our system slower because of this system? Because of this feature? Is it eating our DB too much? Do we need to scale? Do we need to expand our bandwidth and et cetera, et cetera? Then A/B testing. A/B testing is not what everybody do, but yeah, I think WhatsApp is the best when it comes to A/B testing. They show, okay, I wish this class was a physical class. I would have asked this question. Like for WhatsApp, I don't know. At the time when I saw video recording, when I could record video notes, where I could record voice notes with my video, one of my friends didn't have that feature. So I was always sending video notes. She can't send video notes back to me. When I saw a lot of features like that on WhatsApp. So the idea behind A/B testing is you give the feature to a few set of users, random set of users. Then the other set of users that don't have it are telling you we want this feature, or the people that have it will tell you no, we don't want this feature. I don't know why they did that. They didn't do A/B testing for this new status updates that they did. I don't like it. I don't know if you don't like it too. Can you just drop a comment in the comment section? This new status update that has communities and it's just messing up the whole status environment. But yeah, the idea of A/B testing is you push out the product to a few of your users and get their reaction back for it. You don't like it too. Thank you, promise. I don't like it. So yeah, that's I wish they had done A/B testing. At least they would have known that a lot of us don't like it. Or unless maybe the A/B testing they are doing is they gave it to all Nigerians. I did not give it to another country to see our our feedback. But yeah, it's just annoying. I wish they had just created another app for their update so that we can decide to view it or not. But yeah, either way, that's A/B testing. And as a product manager, you have to always be eager to get back this feedback because it is what will shaping your product. Let us stop here. I promised yesterday that I'll be having another extra class with you because of what happened yesterday. So if you guys are free tomorrow, yeah, we could jump on a call tomorrow evening at this time as well, so that we can finish this particular module. So yeah, if you have any question, now will be the time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Frederick. I want to take you back to the slide where you talk about Scrum and Kanban.
Okay.
In that particular slide, you did mention that you worked as a product manager while working with the team, development team, I mean. Now, since it's a Scrum, as at that time, do they have a product owner who writes user stories and all that? And if yes, then what was your role then?
Good. I love the question you asked. The question you asked is actually very, very, very intelligent. Let me start by saying that you might not be lucky to find a company that has product owners, scrum master, product specialists, and all those. You might be the only product manager. For example, my current company, when I joined, I was I had a senior product manager, then I was the product manager. The senior product manager was also doubling as a business person with the CEO. So it was always on the business side. I was the only one for about 3 months before they started bringing in other product managers. In such case, you will be scrum master, product owner, and product manager. And by the way, the product owner normally should not be writing documentation. The product owner should be following up. One of the main core of product manager is you follow up on tasks. Product owner, sorry. You follow up on tasks. You ensure that this person is done with their tasks. You follow up on if they have pushed this particular feature to production. Make sure that the testing is effectively done before moving to production. Make sure that the staging environment is stable. Basically, your main job as a product owner is to own the product. As the customer, ensure that nothing bad goes out to the customer. You will review the documentation written by product manager, their research, you pass it and not pass it. You can decide that I don't think our customer needs this feature or not. You are the main customer in the company as a product owner. As a product manager, your main aim, your main goal, you are doing 80% of research in an ideal environment. Sorry. In an ideal environment, as a product manager, you have 80% of research than actually documentation. But yeah, for every research you do, you are expected to write documentation. So when you research this particular problem, you also research the possible solutions to them, then you document it. After documenting it, you bring out user stories from there, accept epics from them, and then you hand it over to the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is not the one that will analyze it and say, okay, this particular thing would go at this sprint. This particular thing will go at another sprint. This particular thing will go at another sprint based on priority. It's one that will push the timeline that each one of them will be done, while you as a product manager go your way and continue other research. So to answer your question, as at that time, I was doubling as the product owner, the product manager. In fact, till now, I still double as all. In fact, I double as integration product manager as well, because I have a bit of technical experience. So I handle a lot of integrations with third-party systems. So if you want to do integration, they will tell you, Michael, please go and check that documentation. I read documentation like engineers, check to ensure that our front end is covering our design, is covering all the edge cases that exist. I don't know if that answers your question, Frederick.
Yes.
Thank
It does, because the conflict there is actually who write the user stories. But thank God you clarified.
Yeah. If you are lucky enough, like I love to say lucky because some see it as a weight, like as workload, like unnecessary workload. But I see it as experience. Whenever I get an opportunity to work that I'm not supposed to work, I see that as experience. I learn. Like I learned a lot. One of the major reasons why I am a bit technical savvy, aside from the fact that I at some point used to write code, is when I joined, I was so eager to learn that I was able to get this opportunity to take a technical course paid by the company. So the idea is, if you are working in a company that you are the only product manager, forget, you will learn. Just like the way your engineers, when they come as for example, your front-end engineer come in as a React developer and your company uses Angular, they are forced to learn Angular. So if you are in a company where you are the only product manager they can afford at the moment, then you have to do everything. Depending on the time you are probably in a bigger company. By the way, there is a lot of rules in product management. Program manager is also a role in product management. A lot, like extremely lots, depending on the industry you are. You mentioned acquisition, conversion, retention. Yes. What is the full meaning of A/B testing? Like full meaning as in you want to know the like you want the explanation of what it does or what it's used for, or please clarify the question. Or you want me to go ahead and tell you the full meaning, like as an abbreviation? If that's the case, then I mean you can always learn that. Answer. You mentioned acquisition, conversion, and retention yesterday. Can you kindly elaborate more on that? Yes. So yesterday, because of network, I know most of you didn't hear me well. Acquisition means that you are acquiring a customer. For example, OPay, as many of us know, fact, let me not use OPay. Let me use Kuda. Most of us that downloaded Kuda at the early stage, I'm sorry, I'm not talking on behalf of Kuda. I'm talking about me and myself and everybody. We used Kuda because it was the bank of the free. They were not charging us, they were charging us 0 naira when Access Bank was busy charging me a lot of money every month. Kuda was not collecting a dime from me. I was doing free transfer, free everything. And at the end of the month, I'm not getting ATM maintenance fee, income maintenance fee. So a lot of us ported to Kuda Bank because of that feature. Now, or because of that part of their system. Now, that particular product was what acquired me. At that particular point, we say that the customer have acquired customer. That's acquisition. Now, when I now entered Kuda, I now realized that, Kuda have other amazing features, like to buy airtime, to buy data. Funniest enough, to be candid, I now found out that data was cheaper as at then on Kuda app than my Access Bank. Kuda data was cheaper to buy data there than to buy it in my Access. That the data I was buying for 15K on my Access Bank, I was actually getting it 10,000 on Kuda. So they converted me from coming for freebies on transfer. That means coming from their transfer feature, converted me to also using their bill payment or data feature. Now, that is what conversion is. Now, retention, on the other hand, retention differs per company. For example, the KPI, the performance indicator for your own company could be, or the success metrics for your company could be that a customer is considered as retained when the customer performs an action twice or 3 times at intervals. So that means the customer came today to transfer, the customer came tomorrow to transfer, the customer came next tomorrow to transfer. You are saying this customer is finally our customer. So we have retained the customer. So in such case, you call them active customers. Do you understand? They become active customers. So customers that are retained are the ones that you hear company says they have active customers. But that metric differs companies to company. So a company will say a customer that have used at least 4 of their features. That means they've transferred, they've made few payments, they've used the card, they've what other thing exists? They've bought airtime, for example. I know we understand that there are a lot of other features in a bank app than that, but yeah, some people will say once you are able to use their 4 features, then you're an active customer. So that differs from companies to companies. Then there's also one, maybe I'll remember tomorrow, if I remember tomorrow. But yeah, these are terms that we use often. Yeah, please, attendance have been sent to the comment section. Please feel
Mr. Michael, sorry.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry to cut you in. I just wanted to ask quickly that regarding the conversion feature you mentioned, acquisition, retention, conversion. Is there a platform or a backend to check when a customer has used a platform more than once? Like the customer, is there a backend to check that?
Yes. So I would suggest maybe after this course, you guys can check out Product School micro certification on Mixpanel. Mixpanel is a very, very beautiful tool for that. You connect your system backend to Mixpanel, and you can do a lot of mathematics to see, okay, this customer is a recurring customer. You can set all those things. That's one. Secondly, for some companies like mine, we have our own admin panel. We designed an admin portal where we're able to see all these metrics. We even have a client portal for our customers, our clients to be able to see some metrics. If they need other metrics, then they reach out to us. You know now, money ways. So yeah, some companies have that. And I think when I was working with fintech as well, a lot of fintechs have their own admin panel, and that's why when you call, for example, Access Bank, they will tell you what's your email address or what's your account number. They put in your account number and they can tell you what you did on the app the last 5 or 6 times. Why? Because they have that data and they can be able to visualize it. So depending on if you're working with a company that has enough engineers and enough resources to be able to have its own backend, we call it back office, its own back office, which is also called admin portal in some other company, then yes, you use that. But if you can't, there are other cheaper alternatives that the company can go for. At least you don't have to employ somebody to build it, and they don't have to maintain Grafana logs and all that. So all they have to do is just connect their backend, their DP, their database to that system. The system Mixpanel does the miracle for you. It does the data, it links the data up itself, the time and as long as your model, the data models are properly set, it does the math for you. And then you can decide to tweak some of the actions. There are a lot of alternatives, but off my head right now, it's only Mixpanel I can remember. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question. Promise.
Yes, I was about to type it. Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right.
Sorry, Mr. Michael.
Hi.
Okay, sorry, I was going to ask the question for the A and B test.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what I was actually asking was, is it just A and B, or is it not just something more than A and B? Like when you say A and B test, What's A and B?
I'm still struggling to understand what you mean.
You know, you said A and B test. I believe the A and B, there's a full meaning, a full name to it other than just the A and B. I guess that's a short form, is it?
Yeah, that's the popular definition of it. The A and B is an indication for, you know how you do in sciences where you have control experiments, where you have I'm sorry, I'm a science student, so I'm sorry if this example goes off. Where you have the mouse that you want to use for test, that you want to inject something with, and you have another mouse. Both of them are the same color, the same everything, but this one is injected with a drug. This one is not injected with a drug. So we say this is test subject A, this is test subject B. Do you understand? So we give A this picture and don't give B to see how both of them will react. Do you understand the logic now?
Yes, I do.
So the general term used for it is A/B testing. So if you tell anybody A/B testing, that's what it means. Like you are telling the picture to some and leaving some out so that you get the reaction of those some. And if it's not palatable, you can always revert back. Basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This person is asking, so the company embracing agile methodology, which is a mindset, does it mean they either embrace Scrum or not? Yes. You can have an agile methodology and still, so like I said, Scrum is a methodology used in agile. Like I explained what Scrum is now. I said Scrum is an idea that helps you to understand that you can do work in beats in a time box, analyze that before proceeding. If while you're analyzing, you realize that what you've done is not good enough, you go back to it and fix it before moving forward. Do you understand? Now, that in its way is accepting change. Remember, I said the whole idea of agile is a mindset that is open to change. So any other methodology that allows you to be open to change, you can use it hand in hand with agile. Don't worry, when you read, when you study the Agile Manifesto itself, you understand the approach better. So one can choose to provide PRD or user story. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for some companies, PRDs is what they expect. They expect you to write. I will show you an example of it. Let me show you now so that you understand what I mean. The PRD is a more sophisticated version. Aisha, sorry, I know we are out of time, but please give us a few more minutes to work on this, please.
No problem at all.
All right, thank you. Drive. Let's drive.
Mr. Michael, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so while you're on that, can you just quickly, in your own words, give a brief differentiation between the beta testing and A/B testing, and which one is more important?
Okay, I will. Just give me a minute so that I can. What's the name again? Yes. The same. Now this is a PRD. If you can see my screen. Sorry, it's still loading. My network is a bit. The network here is just terrible. All right. This is what a PRD looks like. It's a full document where you talk about the idea itself. You talk about a lot. Like you talk about the features, what the backlog will look like. You write all the user stories. For example, the features, I've listed it out, the customer personnel, where you talk, persona, sorry, where you talk about who your customers are, who they are likely to be. Don't worry, we'll talk more on that. You have the high level user flow, which I asked you guys to do. We have the revenue stream, how much money you'll be making, everything. Like PRD is extensive, like extremely extensive, where you write every single thing. Then inside the PRD, you now have your epics or user stories, where you are writing for user registration and authentication. You are breaking it down into explaining what the user wants in particular. For example, let's use this user registration and authentication as an example. I'm saying as a user of the logistic app, I want to be able to create an account, log in securely, and manage my profile to access the platform feature and personalize my experience. Now, in the acceptance criteria, you will notice I now break it down further. The user can access the registration page and provide required information to create an account. The registration process validates all mandatory fields: username, email, password. The system checks the.
Thank you,
the person should please mute. Please mute yourself. The system checks for uniqueness of the username and email to avoid duplication. Do you understand? You are being specific so that the developer that is looking at it will know that, okay, you said that they should do this part of the job. They should do this check. Even user authentication, you will see I said user can access login page and enter credentials, username and password. The system validates the entered credentials and grants access to the user if they are correct. If they are not, obviously, don't grant access. Do you understand? You are telling them to have encryption and protect against brute force, all those things. They are basically involved in a user story. But a user story is a small part of the entire PRD. For some companies, they will tell you to write this entire PRD for every feature. For others, when you are building a feature, this is enough. From this place, you are building user registration and authentication. You're writing user stories, then you're writing acceptance criteria for all of them. User, something, edge cases. That's enough for some companies. As long as that could be enough to build what you want to build, then you are good to go. But for others, for every single, this user registration part, you have a whole, this user registration part, you have a whole documentation, a whole PRD for it. I don't know if you understand, because this small epics, that this small stuff that I wrote now can actually be enlarged, expanded to have more things inside it. I don't know if that explains the differences. I hope it does, but yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. How do I stop sharing? Stop sharing. All right. So somebody asked the question the other time.
Yes, I asked.
Okay,
I
sorry.
said, which is more important, A/B testing or beta testing? Which would you prioritize more in your research?
Okay, sorry, hold on. Give me a minute. Let me answer. And please, that person that is muted should please. Okay. All right. So let me answer this person's final question. He said, then at what point can we provide something similar to the assignment in week 1? Aha. Like can that assignment replace PRD? No, it can't. That assignment is a small part of PRD. As a matter of fact, that assignment does not have user story in it. It's just me wanting you to actually have an idea that you can work on. If you notice the PRD I shared now, the PRD I shared now is like the bigger document for that particular assignment that I gave you guys. I just copied out the features and other things in that particular PRD and used it to answer that particular assignment. So the idea is when you guys have your own what are they calling it? Your own products. That's why I gave you that assignment in the first week. You have your own product idea in your head. So you are assuming that somebody has come to you and say, you want to build this. Please, this is what the idea is. help us work on it. Now you've worked on the idea, you based on the research. I saw someone's own. I'm going to ask for the person's name very soon. I wish like I think I owe the person a gift because the person said he wants to work on a fintech app, and I love the way the person listed out all the features and the reasons for the features. It was so beautiful. I was reading it and smiling sheepishly. But that was just your ideation stage. You know, when I was talking about this discovery the other time, that document, consider that document your discovery of that particular feature. Some of you did a very, very naughty job. Some of you just did it and dropped it there, and it's fine. I mean, it's you, and it will tell basically on you. So our advice that you sit down and calm down and do it effectively. Look around you, look for a problem that maybe a mobile app can solve, and write it down. Think about it. Can you make money from it? If you can make money from it, also write it down. Write everything down. So that when you are writing a PRD for it, to be something personal, you'll be able to relate to it. That's why I give you the assignment. What type of framework does a company that does daily stand-up use? Every company, whichever framework you use daily stand-up. Just that some companies can decide not to do it daily. For example, my company will do it weekly on Fridays. At the end of every week, we do the stand-up to ask everybody how has been the week. But for me, I have my own team in the company. I have my own team in the company, and my team in the company every day we do stand-up. And the idea of the stand-up is so that we check if we have any bug assigned to us and ensure that it's fixed effectively. Once there is no bug, we meet ourselves, ask ourselves out. I like asking at my engineers how they are doing. Do you need cash? Do you need this? Do you need that? And I'll be able to tell them I need cash to send me cash. So yeah, it's just for me. I just feel like it's just a way for us to bond since we are not in a physical office. So, but for some companies, the daily stand-up for them is very important. They come there, everybody looks serious, wear suit and tie, on your camera, and tell us what you're about to do this week. You're about to do today. Thank you. And tomorrow, come and tell us, were you able to achieve it? Yes. Bye. So yeah, it depends on, yeah, somebody said sorry about that. I don't know what you're sorry about, but yeah, it's fine. How much one can charge for PRD? So when I was doing PRD, I charged based on the client. I know I've charged $100, I've charged 50K. Depending on you, you can charge, depending on the project also, depending on the project, depending on you. I told somebody 200, and at the end of the day, the person ended up paying 45K. So depending on you and how much you need the money, basically. As at then, when I was fully into it, now my job doesn't allow me to do PRD as a side hustle anymore. But yeah, as at then, I charge any amount depending on the person. Is there a template or a guide for writing PRD? Yes. There's no, like, it's not set in stone, but I can give you a guide, something you can use. That's what I've been using as well. So I'll just give you that. Please, can the mic came on? No, it's fine. It's fine. Tenders. All right. To answer your question, then we round up. Promise, yeah?
Sorry, why
did promise?
Question? Sorry, I asked that question of how much can one charge for PRD? I have one contract and I charge 200. So I was thinking probably I'm on the high side because it's a fintech product, so it's a bit voluminous. So I thought maybe I overcharge.
No, that's another lesson I want you guys to learn. It's just a side lesson. There's nothing like overcharge. One of the biggest mistakes I made earlier in my career is not knowing how to haggle price. There's nothing like overcharge. If you feel like you're worth $10,000, when they ask you what's your salary expectations or whatever it is, tell them $10,000. If they can't pay that, they will tell you how much they can pay. They will laugh it up in the interview. By the end of the day, they will tell you how much they can pay. If it's good for you, you go with it. But don't ever feel like if you feel like that price, that's what your time is worth, and the value you are giving them, then why not? I never say, I never do that. Your price is dependent on you. So what somebody else will do for 10,000 naira, somebody else somewhere is doing it for 1 million.
Thank you.
Yeah. So somebody asked a question the other time. Okay, yeah, that I should differentiate between A/B testing and beta test. Okay, like I said, A/B testing is randomized. It's randomized. You are randomly picking some customers to give the feature to so that you can get feedback. Then nowadays, I'm hearing that there are some specialized A/B testing type where you're not randomly choosing them. You are just choosing those that use something similar more. For example, let's assume that that video recording feature where you can record a voice note with your face on WhatsApp. That feature, they could decide to give it to people that record a lot, because those are the people that will easily recognize that, oh, when you tap twice, it changes. Do you understand? Or they could decide to just give random users, say they want to give 20% of their users that feature and get feedback from that 20%. If it's good to go, they give it out to the 100%. Now, that is A/B testing. Beta testing, however, it is the customer that choose to be in that particular space. You go and meet the company, maybe on Play Store, you see your option to join their beta test. You join you yourself, you join them and say, I want to use your app, even if it breaks my laptop or it breaks my system, I want to use it. So which means before any other user gets the feature, even when the feature is still terrible, you will get it first. Do you understand? So A/B testing is something that comes later. So there are companies, WhatsApp especially, they have a better environment. That's where all of these tech influencers online used to get all the features before it comes to everybody. They are better users. So they have seen the features long ago before they even decide to push it out for A/B testing. Do you understand? So beta is like the environment where they test with some of their loyal customers who don't mind breaking their phones or breaking their laptops or breaking their devices just to ensure that the company move forward. Not necessarily, this does not necessarily mean that when you become a product manager, you should now go and be pushing bug or problem into people's system. No. But yeah, I'm trying to bring out the fact that the customer is the one voluntarily saying that they want to join that particular ride. And which one is better? I don't think anyone is better. Both of them have their use, basically. The better is for to be able to get the user feedback before the entire world start using it. So I think both of them are relatively good in one way or the other. I hope I've been able to answer the question. Promise, I think.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So if there's no other question, I would love to end it. Okay. My guy, I've not heard your voice today.
Yeah. So I have a question regarding product processes. So you were saying something about design and MVP, right? And I understand that the frameworks, is only at the lean startup. It's only in the lean startup they do MVP. So what's the role of the designer in trying to, determine what framework will be chosen? Or is that solely on the part of like product managers?
Sorry, I didn't get that last question.
The second phase, right, is design and MVP.
Yes.
So now I believe that designers are the ones that get to decide, what framework, people use here.
No, designers don't decide framework.
Okay, so like what's the role in deciding if they are not the ones making that decision?
So the framework is not, you are not choosing the framework in every stage. No, the framework covers the entire stage. Like if you are using agile, you are using agile all through the entire process. If you are using waterfall, you are using waterfall all through the entire process. Like I said, these frameworks are like something that guides the strategy in which you use in implementing your idea. So yeah, let's assume you say you want to let's use the same process as an example. The first process is the ideation or discovery, product discovery and documentation. Then the second phase is the design or so to say. The third phase is development and launch, then the last phase is follow-up. Now, you have those 4 phases. If you are using the waterfall approach, what it means is when you are at the ideation phase, everything you need to ideate must finish ideating before you move to design. Because once you get to design, you can't go back to ideation. But with agile, you can go back anywhere. Do you understand the differences now?
Yes.
I don't know if so the reason why I did design / MVP is if you are in a company that actually launches an MVP, that means they use a lean approach.
Exactly. So that's why I was trying to find out. So will it differ with the framework? That's just what I want to know. So maybe you want to.
No, it won't. It's just that it is at that design phase that you will decide the feature you want to design first and the feature you will design later. Do you understand?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
All right. Do we have any other question? Okay. Thank you all for coming in. I'm hoping that probably
for the last time. So what implies is that it is not all the time that you deal with MVP. It's only if your organization uses lean methodology, right?
Yes. Some organizations don't use MVP. They push everything out at once. And some organizations don't believe in MVP self. They will tell you if you have the capacity to build as much as possible, just build as much as possible and move it out. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, that will be the end of the class. Aisha, thank you so much for your patience rather. I'll see you guys tomorrow if Aisha agrees. If not, then you'll probably be seeing the next instructor next week. Thank you. Bye.